You're staring at a spreadsheet that says your prison made $11 million last quarter and somehow still can't afford to fix the plumbing in cell block C. You're 38 years old and you just became the warden of Alton River Correctional Facility. Maximum security. Privately operated by a company called Meridian Justice Solutions. Congratulations. You got the promotion because you kept your head down for 15 years, never complained, and most importantly, you never asked questions. The state contracts Meridian $62 per inmate per day to house, feed, and rehabilitate the worst human society has to offer. They pay you $62,000 a year to make sure nobody looks too closely at where that money actually goes. Your pension is decent. Your job is stable. But stable doesn't pay for your 9-year-old daughter's medical bills or the mortgage on a house you bought back when you thought hard work actually meant something. Your first week, you meet your deputy warden, Marcus. He transferred in from a state facility 3 months before you. Clean record. 15 years in corrections, same as you. He keeps a framed photo of his son on his desk. A kid in a Little League uniform, gap-toothed smile, holding a bat that's bigger than he is. Marcus talks about that kid the way some men talk about God, like he's the only thing that makes any of this worth doing. First day, Marcus walks you through the facility. He points out the cracks in the walls, the mold in the showers, the infirmary that's running on half-staff because Meridian cut the medical budget again. He shakes his head and says, "We're warehousing people, not rehabilitating them, but at least we can keep them alive." You like Marcus immediately. He's the kind of guy who still believes the job means something. 2 weeks in, you're both working late on a staffing audit. He pulls out his phone and shows you a video of his son's first home run. The kid swings, connects, and just stands there in shock like he can't believe it happened. Marcus is laughing so hard watching it that he has to put the phone down. You watch him laugh and think, "This is a good man. This is someone I want in my corner." Then your regional director calls. Her name is Whitmore. She doesn't visit the facility. She doesn't need to. She manages from a glass office 60 miles away where the air conditioning works and nobody screams at night. She tells you Meridian's contract with the state has a minimum occupancy clause, 93%. If the facility drops below that, the state can renegotiate. Your job is to keep the beds full. She says it like she's telling you to restock the vending machines. You ask what happens if the population drops naturally. Parole, good behavior, releases. She pauses. Then she says, "That's why we hired you, to make sure it doesn't." You should refuse. You should call someone. But then you think about your kid's next surgery. You think about the credit card statements piling up. You think about how the state built this system and Meridian just optimized it. So you start making adjustments. Small ones. You tighten the disciplinary code. Infractions that used to get warnings now get write-ups. Write-ups that used to get ignored now go on permanent records. Permanent records that used to not affect parole hearings now mysteriously show up in front of the board. Inmates who should be going home in 6 months get denied and serve another 18. You're not breaking any laws. You're just bending the system until it works for you. That's what you tell yourself. Marcus notices. Of course he does. He pulls you aside after a parole review where you submitted a disciplinary report on an inmate named Davis. Davis had been clean for 2 years. Model prisoner. The report cited an incident from 14 months ago that had already been resolved. Marcus looks at you and says, "This report is garbage and you know it." You tell him it's procedure. He tells you procedure doesn't require you to torpedo a man's freedom over a stale write-up. You tell him to drop it. He does. But he looks at you different after that. Like he's trying to figure out when exactly you changed. 3 months in, Whitmore calls again. Meridian is cutting the food budget by 20%. You're to switch suppliers. The new vendor is cheaper because the food is barely food. You've seen the samples. Gray meat. Bread that crumbles like drywall. But the savings go straight to the quarterly report. You sign off. A week later, 12 inmates get sick from contaminated chicken. 2 end up in the infirmary. Marcus files an incident report and sends it to the state health board. You intercept it. You rewrite it as a minor gastrointestinal event and submit a version that blames the inmate's pre-existing conditions. Marcus finds out. He stands in your doorway and just stares at you. He doesn't yell. He doesn't threaten. He says, "My son asks me what I do at work. I tell him I keep people safe." Then he walks away. That sentence stays in your head for weeks. You can't get rid of it. You start drinking on weeknights. 6 months in, the money starts hitting different. Whitmore introduces a performance bonus structure. Keep occupancy above 95%, you get $40,000 on top of your salary. Keep incident reports below a threshold, another $20. Maintain operational costs under budget, another $15. You're suddenly making $137,000 a year to run a facility that's falling apart. Your daughter gets her surgery. You pay off the house. You buy your wife that car she's been wanting. She asks where the money came from. You tell her it's a performance bonus. She doesn't believe you, but she doesn't push. Nobody wants to look too closely at a miracle. Here's what nobody tells you about corruption in a privatized system. It doesn't feel like corruption. It feels like efficiency. Every cut you make has a corporate justification. Every corner you cut has a memo attached. Every life you diminish has a line item on a budget sheet. You're not breaking the law, you're optimizing within it. And that's worse, because there's nobody to arrest. No crime scene. Just a slow, institutional erosion of humanity that everyone signed off on. The infirmary gets cut to daytime hours only. You sign the order. An inmate named Hernandez has a seizure at 11 p.m. There's no medical staff on site. The guards call 911, but the nearest hospital is 40 minutes away. Hernandez dies on the floor of his cell. He was 26, in for a nonviolent drug charge, had 8 months left on his sentence. The coroner rules it a medical event. Meridian's legal team drafts a statement expressing condolences and noting that all protocols were followed. You read it and realize they wrote it before Hernandez died. They had the template ready. You're not the first warden to lose someone on the night shift. You're just the latest. Marcus takes it hard. He knew Hernandez, used to play chess with him during recreation. He comes into your office the morning after and sets his badge on your desk. He says he can't do this anymore. He says he'd rather drive a truck than be part of a machine that lets people die to save money. You look at Marcus, you look at his badge, you think about what happens if he leaves and starts talking. You think about Whitmore, you think about your daughter. So you do something you'll never forgive yourself for. You tell Marcus that if he resigns and makes noise, you'll flag his personnel file. You'll note that he failed to properly supervise the medical staff, that the Hernandez death happened on his watch, that he was negligent. It's all lies. But it would follow him to every corrections job he ever applies for. His career would be over. His kids' health insurance, gone. Marcus stares at you. His eyes change. Something behind them closes, like a door being locked from the inside. He picks up his badge. He walks out. He doesn't say a word. That silence is louder than anything anyone's ever said to you. Marcus stays. But he's different now. He does his job, runs his shifts, files his reports. But the photo of his son disappears from his desk. He stops talking about Little League. He stops talking about much of anything. You killed something in him that morning, not his body. His belief that the people running the system are any better than the people inside it. You took the one guy who still thought this job meant something and showed him exactly what it means. A year passes, Meridian expands. They want to replicate Alton River's model across 4 new facilities. Your occupancy numbers are best in the region. Your cost per inmate is the lowest. Your incident reports are clean because you've gotten very good at making them clean. Whitmore promotes you to Regional Director of Operations. You'll oversee 5 facilities, train new wardens, standardize the procedures. Your salary jumps to $210,000. Stock options in Meridian. A corner office with a window that actually opens. You should feel something. Instead, you feel the same vast emptiness you've been carrying since the morning Marcus stopped being your friend. You build the playbook. It's elegant in its cruelty. Tighten disciplinary codes to slow releases. Cut medical to daytime only. Switch to the cheapest food vendor that won't trigger a health inspection. Maximize the occupancy bonus. Minimize the incident reports. Staff the facilities with people too desperate to ask questions. You write it all down in a manual that gets distributed to every new warden. You call it the Operational Excellence Framework. It sounds like something from a business school textbook. It reads like a manual for human warehousing. 3 years in, the system runs itself. 22,000 inmates across 5 facilities. Meridian's stock price has doubled since your promotion. Shareholders love you. The board loves you. You're mentioned in the annual report as a key driver of operational efficiency. Nobody mentions the 4 inmates who died from preventable medical conditions. Nobody mentions the suicide rate that's 3 times the national average. Nobody mentions that your facilities have the lowest parole approval rate in the state because the system you built is designed to keep people inside. That's not a bug. It's the business model. Your daughter turns 15, honor roll, volleyball captain. She wants to be a lawyer. She asks you for advice about her debate tournament. You tell her that winning isn't about truth. It's about making people believe your version of events. She writes it down like gospel. You're teaching her to think like the person you've become, and she doesn't even know it. Then the investigation starts. A journalist at the state paper gets a tip. Unusual parole denial rates. Suspicious disciplinary patterns. A string of deaths in facilities that all report to the same regional director. The story runs on a Sunday. By Monday, the state legislature announces a commission. By Wednesday, Meridian's legal team is in your office. They're not there to help you. They're there to contain you. They hand you a separation agreement, $200,000, a non-disclosure clause that covers everything. They want you to resign quietly and disappear. In exchange, they'll make sure your name stays out of the investigation. They'll pin the operational decisions on local wardens, on people like Marcus. You read the agreement, you read it again, there it is, in paragraph 11. Regional operational failures will be attributed to facility-level management in accordance with the company's decentralized accountability structure. They're going to blame Marcus, the man you already destroyed once. They're going to finish the job and use your signature to do it. You think about signing. $200,000. Your family stays comfortable. Your daughter never knows. Marcus takes the fall for a system you designed. It's the easiest path. It's always the easiest path. Instead, you call the journalist. You give her everything. Emails, memos, the operational excellence framework, Whitmore's directives, the occupancy clause, the bonus structure, every body you buried in paperwork. You talk for 9 hours straight. She records all of it. When you're done, she asks why you're doing this. You tell her you don't know. That's the truth. The story breaks 3 weeks later. It's devastating. Meridian's stock drops 40% in a day. The CEO resigns. 6 facilities get taken over by the state. Whitmore gets indicted. 14 employees face charges. And you face 12 counts of criminal negligence, falsifying government documents, conspiracy to defraud the state, and involuntary manslaughter for every inmate who died on your watch. The trial takes 4 months. Your wife sits in the courtroom every day. Your daughter doesn't come. She can't. She's 15, and the things being said about her father aren't things a 15-year-old should hear. Your defense argues you were a cog in a machine, that Meridian created the incentives and you just followed them. The prosecution argues that a cog that knows it's grinding people to pieces and keeps turning is just a murderer with a pension plan. The jury agrees. 7 years. Federal prison. The minimum because of your cooperation. Your last night before sentencing, you drive past Alton River. The facility's dark now, closed for renovation. Through the fence, you can see the yard where Hernandez used to play chess. The infirmary window that Marcus used to check every night on his rounds. Even after you cut the staff. Even after you threatened him. Even after you killed the part of him that believed. Marcus testified at your trial. He sat in the witness box in a navy blue suit that didn't quite fit right. He told the jury about the Hernandez report you intercepted. About the threat you made. About the photo of his son he took down, because he couldn't look at it anymore without feeling like a fraud. His voice didn't shake. His eyes didn't water. He was calm the way people are calm when they've already processed their grief and come out the other side with nothing left to lose. The prosecutor asked him if he thought you were a bad person. Marcus looked at you. Right at you. For the first time in 3 years. He actually looked at you, and he said, "He was my friend." He was the best warden I'd ever worked for, and then he became the system he was supposed to be running. I don't know if that makes him bad. I just know I don't recognize him anymore. You're in the transport van now, heading to a facility not so different from the ones you used to run. The guard driving the van doesn't know who you are. To him, you're just another intake, another number, another bed to fill. Somewhere across the state, Marcus is still working corrections. He transferred to a state facility. Lower pay, no bonuses, no stock options. But the infirmary runs 24 hours and nobody intercepts his reports. His son's photo is back on his desk. You think about that photo, the gap-toothed kid with the oversized bat. You wonder if Marcus told his son what happened. You wonder if the kid understands that his father is the kind of man who stays honest even when it costs him everything, and that you're the kind of man who didn't. The van pulls through the gates. You hear them close behind you. It's a sound you've heard 10,000 times, but it's different when it's for you. You always thought you understood what that sound meant. You didn't. Nobody does. Not until they're on this side of it. Somewhere, your daughter is doing homework at the kitchen table. Your wife is pretending everything is normal, and Marcus is finishing his shift, driving home to his son, and not thinking about you at all. That's the part that hurts the most. Not the cell, not the sentence. The fact that you were the most important decision Marcus ever had to make, and he made it, and now you're just a story he tells at depositions. You spent 3 years holding a threat over him, and he walked into a courtroom and told the truth anyway. You couldn't break him, you just broke yourself trying. 7 years, 2,555 days to sit with that. The arithmetic doesn't get easier with time, it just gets more precise.